And the best new artist is, if I can get it open, Lauryn Hill.
Thank you very much. I want to do something. This may be a little bit different for the Grammys, but I'd like to read something. This is Psalm 40. I waited patiently for the Lord. He turned to me and heard my cry. He lifted me out of the slimy pit, out of the mud and mire. He set my feet on a rock and gave me a firm place to stand. He put a new song in my mouth, a hymn of praise to my God. Many will see and fear and put their trust in the Lord. Amen. I want to say thanks to God for honoring me with this huge responsibility. I want to thank him for surrounding me with a beautiful family. Ro, I love you so much.
She's late tonight. Yo, y'all lucky I make it on this blood rise stage every night.
Lauryn Hill had everything. 5 Grammys in one night. A debut album that rewrote the rules of what hip-hop could sound like. A voice that made grown men cry in parking lots. And then she just disappeared, walked away from all of it, stopped making music, served time in federal prison, and started showing up to her own concerts 2 hours late. The girl who once performed like she had something to prove to God became the woman who tells sold-out arenas they should feel lucky. She even showed. So what in the world happened in between? Because the distance between the girl bait for her own canceled tour. That distance is the story. And it is messy. It is complicated. And it starts way before anyone knew her name. Lauryn Noel Hill was born May 26, 1975, in East Orange, New Jersey. Raised in South Orange, just outside Newark, in a music-obsessed household that basically started her education before school did. She was singing at family functions before most kids can spell their middle name. And she didn't just sing. She performed. By the time she was 13, she was taking the stage at the Apollo Theater in Harlem, not watching, performing. Mind you, the Apollo crowd is legendary for booing acts off the stage. Lauryn held her ground. That detail matters, because it tells you everything about who she was before the industry got its hands on her. She was a sophomore at Columbia High School in Maplewood, New Jersey, when she landed a recurring role on the soap opera As the World Turns. Then came Sister Act 2, alongside Whoopi Goldberg in 1993. Where she played a student with a heaven-sent voice, which wasn't exactly a stretch. Hollywood was ready to claim her. Instead, she enrolled at Columbia University that same year. Then a classmate named Prakazrel Pras, Michelle, introduced her to his cousin, Wyclef Jean, and the three of them started making music together. That decision changed everything. They called themselves the Fugees. Their 1994 debut, blunted on reality, went essentially unnoticed. Barely cracked the Billboard charts, got mixed reviews, and disappeared quickly. They went back to the studio, and what came out of it in 1996 was The Score. 17 million copies sold, 2 Grammy Awards, and a version of Killing Me Softly that rendered Roberta Flack's original almost secondary in pop culture memory. Lauryn Hill wasn't just on the group's best album, she was the group's best asset. The voice, the presence, the control. Wyclef wrote, Pras contributed, but everyone who heard Lauryn knew who the real star was. But here's where it gets interesting. And by interesting, I mean the kind of messy that goes unreported for years. Because while the Fugees were on top of the world in 1996, Lauryn and Wyclef were in a relationship. A secret one. The kind that is messy by design, because Wyclef had already married fashion designer Marie Claudinette in 1994, and still continued his relationship with Lauryn as a full-blown affair. They fought on planes. They clashed in studios. Sources later described it to Rolling Stone as 2 outlaws in love. And Wyclef, years later in his autobiography Purpose, confirmed all of it, including the detail that made him permanently unreachable to Lauryn. When she became pregnant, she allowed him to believe the baby might be his. It wasn't. The father was Rohan Marley, Bob Marley's son, who Lauryn had met in the summer of 1996. When the truth came out, Wyclef wrote that something died between them. And in 1997, the Fugees broke up. Lauryn carried the blame publicly, and the industry let her carry it. Now, most people in that position retreat, but Lauryn went into the studio and made the most personal album in hip-hop history. The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill dropped in August 1998, and nothing was the same after that. She wrote it, she produced it, she arranged it, she was the art director. It debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200 and sold 8 million copies in the United States alone. Doo-Wop, That Thing, hit #1. X Factor is still on playlists today. And To Zion, a song she wrote about choosing to keep her son over her career when the industry told her not to, might be the most most honest thing a major artist has. This is crazy because this is hip-hop music. And she was right. It was crazy. And it was the last time the music industry label executives assumed she'd capitalize. The machine was ready. Lauryn wasn't. She had 5 children with Rohan Marley, Zion, Selah, Joshua, John, and Sarah, and she was increasingly vocal about her exhaustion with the industry and what it demanded from her. Reports at the time described her as withdrawn, disillusioned, and deeply spiritual in ways that didn't translate easily to press tours and promotional cycles. She stopped giving interviews, stopped making appearances. The gap between the Grammy queen and public Lauryn Hill started to widen. And then in July 2001, she recorded an MTV Unplugged set that essentially announced the break publicly, just not in the way anyone expected. She showed up alone, wearing a denim jacket and a baseball cap, with an acoustic guitar she had only recently learned to play. No band, no production, just Lauryn, her thoughts, and what critics would later call long, rambling interludes where she admitted to feeling crazy and deranged and mentally unstable. The performance was shelved for months because 9/11 happened just 2 months after filming. When MTV Unplugged number 2.0 finally dropped in May 2002, the reaction was brutal. It sold poorly. Critics called it a public breakdown. Some fans were crushed, and Lauryn went further into silence. Mind you, this was the woman who had just made the most acclaimed album in modern R&B history, and instead of capitalizing on it, she was sitting alone on an MTV stage crying through a 9-minute folk song. People didn't know whether to be worried or angry. Some were both. But here's what the narrative missed. Lauryn had been telling everyone exactly how she felt for years. The industry just chose not to listen until she stopped being profitable. The next decade became a story of absence interrupted by controversy. She occasionally performed, she occasionally resurfaced, but the full-time Lauryn Hill, the one who cleared her schedule to make music, never really came back. And then in 2012, the IRS came for her. She pleaded guilty to 3 counts of failing to pay federal taxes on $1.8 million earned between 2005 and 2007 through 4 corporations she owned. She hadn't paid anything on approximately $818,000 in 2005, $222,000 in 2005, $222,000 in 2005, $2006, and $761,000 in 2007. The total bill with penalties exceeded $554,000. In a statement online at the time, she explained she had withdrawn from society to protect the safety and well-being of herself and her family, and the taxes had gone unpaid during that period. She added, in language that was widely quoted and widely misunderstood, "I am a child of former slaves who had a system imposed on them. I had an economic system imposed on me." In May 2013, a judge in Newark sentenced her to 3 months in federal prison and 3 months of home confinement. Rohan Marley took custody of their 5 children during her incarceration. Before reporting to prison, she scrambled to pay what she owed. Her attorney confirmed she settled more than $970,000 in total state and federal tax liability. She even signed a new recording deal with Sony and rushed a song to iTunes to generate cash before sentencing. The judge was not moved enough to give probation. Lauryn Hill went to prison. And if you thought things would be smoother on the other side, baby, not even close. Because in the years following prison, Lauryn leaned hard into what had become her most talked about quality: showing up late, not a little late, not traffic late, 2 hours missing in action late. There was the 2010 Boston show where she came out 2.5 hours after showtime. The Voodoo Festival appearance where she arrived 45 minutes into her own 1-hour set slot and had her mic cut off mid-song by the venue. The 2024 London O2 Arena date with Wyclef, where they showed up over an hour behind schedule and pushed the show past the 11 p.m. venue curfew. And the 2025 Essence Festival in New Orleans, where she took the stage at 2:30 in the morning, by which point the Caesars Superdome was nearly empty. When she addressed it directly at a 2023 Los Angeles show on her Miseducation 25th anniversary tour, she told the crowd, "You're saying she's late? She's late a lot. Yo, y'all lucky I make it on this stage every night." The crowd cheered. The internet did not. And then in August 2024, the entire 21-date Fugees Miseducation anniversary reunion tour with Wyclef and Princess, celebrating the Score's 25th anniversary, was quietly canceled 3 days before it was supposed to start in Tampa. with ticket holders getting refund emails and no explanation offered. Lauryn blamed media sensationalism around her history of canceled shows for driving down ticket sales. Pras responded immediately on Instagram. "I saved her reputation for 20 years by not telling my side of the story. But oops, cat's out the bag." Then he dropped a diss track titled Bar Mitzvah exclusively through TMZ. The lyrics were not subtle. "Don't blame me, blame her. She made the mess. Not another fingin' penny is what I told Clef." Pras has later claimed it wasn't technically a diss track, but nobody was buying that. By October 2024, Pras had followed up with a formal lawsuit against Hill for breach of contract and fraud, alleging she had complete control over the business side of their tours and used it to benefit herself, while musicians, crew, and hotel bills went unpaid. Hill's team called the lawsuit baseless and full of false claims. And the European leg of the tour, the only dates that actually went ahead, saw the pair still sharing a stage at the O2 Arena in London, over an hour late, finishing past curfew. If you haven't subscribed yet and you need a reason, this is it. Hit that subscribe button right now, because the conversation around what happened to Lauryn Hill is not over, and we are not going to miss a second of it. So here's where we are right now. Lauryn Hill started as a 13-year-old holding the Apollo Theater hostage. She helped build one of the highest-selling rap groups of the late 1990s, survived a secret love affair that blew the group apart, and then channeled every bit of that pain into a debut album so complete that it made Grammy history and has never been followed by a second studio record. 27 years later, she served 3 months in federal prison. She's been chronically late to shows for over a decade. Her bandmate dropped a diss track on TMZ and sued her in the same month. And still, when Lauryn Hill takes a stage, even 2 hours late, even in a half-empty arena at 2:30 in the morning, people stay, because there is still nothing else like her. The question was never whether Lauryn Hill had talent. The question is what the industry did with it, and what it cost her when she refused to play along. As usual, people had their thoughts, like this person who said, "Lauryn Hill is proof that the industry doesn't protect genius, it extracts it." And another who wrote, "The saddest part isn't that she didn't make a second album, it's that she clearly had more to say and didn't feel safe saying it." One more person put it plainly: they got Lauryn Hill to go quiet, go to jail, and go late to every show she books, and still nobody has made a record close to Miseducation. What does that tell you? But now I want to know your thoughts. Do you think Lauryn Hill was pushed out of the industry, or did she walk away on her own terms? And after everything, the Grammys, the prison time, the lateness, the lawsuits, do you think a second studio album is ever actually coming? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And don't forget to click here to watch this other messy video.